I'm always looking for ways to improve my no-budget films, and one person who's an absolute expert in DIY filmmaking is Kate Madison. So this week I went to hang out with her and see what I could learn from her process of planning and shooting a totally crowd-funded web series. Kate managed to shoot the first series of her fantasy web series with custom-made sets and costumes, along with plenty of characters and extras. Now, if you've made any kind of film before, then you'll know just how much that kind of stuff usually costs. But Kate managed to do it with an almost unbelievably low budget. So the first thing I asked Kate was what gives her the confidence to pull off such an ambitious project.
So when we were writing, we deliberately tried to not limit ourselves on how ambitious. I think subconsciously you still do a bit, because we know that we're making 10-minute episodes and all this stuff. So I would rather try and go, nope, cutting room floor, rather than rule it out too early, like think it's not possible. It's always surprising when you really sort of go into things how much is possible.
So hearing that's interesting, because I suppose I'm naturally quite a cautious person. I never want to bite off more than I can chew. But hearing Kate's optimistic attitude really challenged me and makes me wonder how many of my ideas I've thrown out too early because I just assumed that it would cost too much. So I wanted to ask Kate how she actually managed to pull off such a big show.
If you don't ask, you don't get. So first thing is to ask, or getting on the phone and saying, okay, this is the idea, what realistically is possible, how much would it be, and then finding out if there's a deal to be made. Essentially, it's like, would you do it for this? And then you can start going, okay, well, maybe that's not the thing, or that's possible, but actually like 3 horses, maybe it's too much. We would recycle people essentially a lot, like whether it's the people playing the soldiers, we deliberately made costumes that meant that they weren't seen most of the time. So it was like, okay, the same people over and over. Some of our crew were Kanath soldiers, for example, as well. We had a horse last time, but we actually only see it in 2 shots. And the rest of the time it's Tony the Phony Pony, which is basically a barrel and a horse skin. And that's pretty much it. And someone else sort of rocking the horse and things.
So I guess the key thing is to acknowledge that yes, there will be sacrifices when the budget is small. But you can be strategic about those sacrifices and basically make just a little bit of money go a lot further. I think that's what Kate did when building their sets. Now, I've always thought that you had to have lots of money before you can build any sets, but Kate managed to secure a warehouse with an outdoor space and offices, which essentially became their production studio. Evidently, that turned out to be far more flexible, but crucially less expensive than hiring out a traditional studio space.
You know, it took a lot of time and effort to create that set. Many hours of work went into that. Like some of it was built from scratch, like literally we went to B&Q or whatever and got stuff. But a lot of it was actually, essentially upcycled as well. We found there was a whole bunch of theatre sets and various things going that were going to get chucked out essentially, and we managed to rescue a bunch and then repurpose them into the village.
So Kate told me they spent about 3 months building that initial village set. But then halfway through the shoot, they were able to rearrange the pieces for various outdoor scenes, which gave them huge savings on material and labour costs.
The wren house from the outside was then pulled inside. The outside wall became the inside wall, and the thatch roof was changed and stuff, and then other walls added to create the interior version, and repaint job and things, or extra dirt and various things added. There's a bit of planning involved obviously in that, because you don't want to be like, oh, we didn't shoot that. So
thanks to the set recycling, they were able to save lots of money shooting on the village set. But even so, the cost of travel, food and accommodation for the cast and crew was really starting to add up. So although Kate had initially planned to shoot some of the exteriors out in Wales, they realised that it was still going to be too expensive to bring their whole cast and crew out there. But fortunately, there was one quite simple scene in the first episode that only involved 2 characters.
We sort of scouted around locally for is there a nice field or a bit of woodland or something to shoot in for those opening scenes and stuff. This is our one moment to show something nice, push the boat out a bit. So the decision was made to go to Wales.
So without spending too much money, Kate was able to inject a good amount of production value into one of their scenes by just spending one day filming in the beautiful scenery of Wales. And that's something that I've tried to do on my own projects too. When you've got a limited budget, you have to put it where it matters most. Which scenes need the best locations and which scenes need the larger crew. Everything else can be minimised. Now, between my conversations with Kate, she was actually filming updates for their crowdfunding campaign for season 2 of their web series with Neil, who's the DP, among other things, on the project.
It is good having a DOP as a housemate. Ready?
Rolling.
No.
It's fascinating to see their whole process as they film updates, talk to their audience, and plan this next campaign. Now, they haven't paid me or sponsored this video or anything, but I have left the link to their new crowdfunding campaign in the description in case you want to check it out. Because I think there's a lot that the traditional film industry could learn from how Kate approaches problem solving and creates a real community environment around her projects. Kate's constant enthusiasm serves as a valuable reminder that you don't need money to make films if you have energy and a DIY approach. My name's Simon Cade, this has been DSLR Guide, and I'll see you next time.